Hey YouTube, what's up? Scarecrow here. This video is very late. Uh, I have attempted to record this multiple times, and I won't get into the details, but my phone was being janky. So, finally getting around to getting this deck out. This will be the first of my builds for DI, now that the new set had come out and they got their second wave of support. So this is going to be a Dantarian focused build. It's pretty cool. It's fun. You get to make some really strong columns and stuff. But yeah, let's get started. Um, this build, like every deck, has its starter. Then for its triggers, 4 heal, 4 PG draw, and then 8 crit. I would like to play more draws in this deck, but it is DI, and there can be deck out problems, so the crits also help with the hitting hard aspect. You hit hard and hit harder, go for game. For the grade 1s, for Doreen, this card is really strong in DI in general. But she hits huge numbers in this deck. She's a very big part of this deck. This card just gets really big. Then we got 2 Direful Noise. I would like to play more of this card, but I can't find the room. He helps with the deck. This deck needs things that can retire things, and he puts on hit pressure in the attack he's doing. So you can like put him behind the Vanguard. If they don't guard it, you can kill something and then trigger off like Dantarian and stuff. I'd like to play more of him, I just don't have the room. Then we got 2 Alluring Succubus. She looks for grade 3s. Can put one in hand, one in the soul, and she goes to the soul herself. She's a good card. She helps make the deck more consistent. However, you gotta be careful with your using her. You gotta pay attention to how many grade 3s you've seen so far. And like how many, like even if if you've seen some, you gotta pay attention to like how spaced out they are. And she's a good card, you just gotta be smart with the way you use her, otherwise you're just counterblasting one and negging one. And then the last grade 1 of the deck, 4 Dimension Creeper. This card is good. It's a 13k, and it can get you some good soul charging. So for the grade 2s, first 3 Authority of Water. This card is pretty helpful. I wish I could use it a little bit better in all DI builds because she's a counter charger, but you need to have 10 soul, which is the most difficult part of using her, and then you got to retire something, which not all builds of DI are great at retiring, so that's the downside of her. But yeah, she's good. You can countercharge if you have 10 soul and you kill something. This deck kills things a lot. This deck is counterblast heavy. The worst thing about her in this deck is you can't use her like that quickly. You gotta get up to the 10 soul first. So, but overall, she's still pretty good. Deck's counterblast heavy, as I said. Next, we got 4 Succubus of Seductive Smile. So this chick, if you have a copy in your soul, you can use her as a booster, and she can intercept from the back row. This deck has a higher ratio of 2s and 3s to make the deck run a little bit better and still charge them. So she's playing the role of a grade 2 and a grade 1 is the idea. And yeah, I like her. I have no complaints about her so far. And then the last grade 2, for Gwen the Ripper. He soul charges with your ride or column, and he can counterblast one to kill someone if you have 10 soul, which this deck is good. It soul charges and kills things, and that'll trigger Dantarian, and it's good. For 3s, we got our 4 boss card, Dantarian. This card is pretty cool. I wish he he works better when you're focusing on him. You can't just like willy-nilly splash him into decks. He doesn't necessarily make sense like that. My other complaint about him is that he can't buff himself up. He can only power up rear guards. So sometimes he's just a big dumb 12 that like doesn't help. But he's pretty cool. His first skill, the Guard from the Soul, is kind of helpful, but not like that helpful. Like we aren't playing Soul Conductor in here because he doesn't really help anything else out. He would just be in here because, honestly, just so we could guard with him with Dantarian skill and stuff, but it's not really worth it to me. So, but yeah, this card is great. We have lots of things that kill, so we can get extra soul charges. We have a high grade 2 and 3 count, so his other skill is likely to go off and keep buffing up the field. Next is a card I kind of overlooked for a bit, but I really appreciate now. Ball. This card is cool. For one, when he's placed on rear guard or guardian circle, he gets +5. So you can guard with him for 5, which if he's in the soul, you could guard with him with Dantarian. And when you call him to the rear guard, he becomes a 17. And then his other skill is the main reason we're playing him. When he swings, you can counterblast, put a 2 or higher in the soul, kill someone, which will then, so you'll be able to swing, move someone into the soul, to pop a card, which if you're putting a 2 or higher, Dantarian's skill will go off and you'll get to buff your field. And then because you're killing something, his other skill will go off and you'll get the soul charge, which will probably put another 2 or higher in the soul, so you'll get to buff more. Yeah, these cards synergize really well together. It's almost as if they were designed to go together. But yeah, it's a really good card in this deck. And then the last spot of the deck, I play 2 Demon Eater. She's a really strong way to finish off the game in this deck. Teaming her up with Doreen makes for a really strong play. With Dantarian, you can make like this column like really, really big, and then Soul Blast the 10 and say you're not guarding with a Sentinel. It's a strong way to try and finish it, but I wouldn't play more than her, I don't feel, because you don't want to like, you got to get your opponent to the point where you can actually game it, and if you're focusing too many cards on just like the finishing move, you're never ever get to the point where you can do the finishing move. So at 2, I think it's just fine because we can search for with alluring, and yeah, it hasn't been a problem for me so far. But yeah, that's the deck. This is the first of my deck profiles. This is a Dantarian focus build, so you'll see other ones in the future. Thank you for watching.